Welcome to Phillip Island, Victoria in Australia. What a setting we have for this great sporting contest, the Little Penguin Sea to Dune race. Nervous moments always as they gather on the beach, the tension mounting, and away they go. There's the defending champion, wearing his familiar navy blue and white, great waddling style. Another pre-race favourite though, losing touch with the pack. Maybe that's why. A few too many fish in the day's feeding. There's a familiar face, Skip McIntyre, 8 times a champion back in the 90s, a very successful coach now, keeping a keen eye on proceedings. This the leading group, 1 or 2 still able to put on a show for the camera, others just ploughing straight over it. Some resorting to shortcuts. Sad that cheating has crept into this beautiful sport. The judges will have a look at that. But up at the front, the pace is relentless, closing in on those sand dunes that will offer a bed for the night. The fatigue starting to tell. Who's got the finishing kick up on the outside? What a turn of pace from that one, whichever one it is. No answer from the rest, and he takes victory. What a win. There we are, into the Burrow, building an extension with his winnings, and back tomorrow to try and defend his title here on Phillip Island.
Hello and welcome to Penguin Live TV, everybody. Once again, the Penguins are nice and early for me on this moody, cloudy night. We are live streaming to you from Phillip Island, or Malau, which it is known as by the Bunurong peoples. The Bunurong people are the traditional landowners here on Phillip Island, and they actually are quite a bit of the way up between here and up towards Melbourne as well. And they had lived and travelled through Phillip Island for, up to 40,000 years before European settlement. So it's really important that we pay our respects and acknowledge the owners, the elders of the land, past, present and emerging, and understand that we wouldn't be able to view the penguins here today if it wasn't for all of the work that they have done through their lifetime looking after the land. Now, I would like to introduce my lovely assistant, Ranger Rachel, here tonight. What are you going to do tonight, Rach?
Thank you, Viv. Hi, everyone. Welcome and welcome back. I will be monitoring your questions on Facebook and YouTube, so please pop them in. I'll pick a few and give them to Viv to answer. And also, if you're guessing the numbers of the penguins, I'll give you a few minutes to guess the number, but they came home at 6:29 yesterday. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. So yes, get in your guesses for how many penguins came in last night, and then get your guesses in as well for this first group. And hopefully Elizabeth, who's our counter tonight, will have the time to let you know how many came in this first little raft tonight. So as I said, it is a bit of a cloudy, miserable day today. So the penguins have come in just that little bit earlier because it's hidden the sunrise, that's silly. It's hidden the sunset and made the penguins believe it's gotten darker a little bit sooner than it usually would. So these penguins love crossing at night when the sun has set, purely because being the world's smallest penguin, they sit only at about a foot tall, at 33 centimeters tall. They are very easily taken as prey by big predators, which are mostly birds of prey. So we've got eagles and hawks and kelp gulls, Pacific gulls, all these big birds who would love to take a little penguin. We've actually seen a few of them on the live stream in the recent couple of weeks. So if you're keen to have a look at some predator action, it's okay. They didn't get a penguin, but we've got some old live streams that have some pretty cool footage on there too. I personally found it really exciting. And so these guys, you see the group split in half. We've got the brave penguins crossing the rocks here and the more shy penguins up the back, because the first group is always a little bit nervous because it's not as dark as it will be in another 5 minutes and another 10 minutes. So they've got to be absolutely sure the predators have gone to bed and make sure there's no one out and about to get them. But they've got these beautiful rocks providing them with extra camouflage, as well as the safety in the numbers here. A big predator's unlikely to take a big group of penguins because, well, penguins might win that fight and it's not worth the effort. Now, today is a very special day as well. You will all, or most of you will know Ranger Megan, I'm sure. It is Ranger Megan's birthday today, so please show her your love in the comments. And if you have any funny Megan stories, embarrassing Megan stories, please let us know. I will make sure she reads through your comments tonight, and I think that'll be good fun. I'll have to think of my own funny stories about Megan as well, but for now, you guys can do the heavy lifting on this. Oh, they're running back to the water. No. I wonder if they've seen something. Oh, also, surprise guys, we have guests again. We're in regional Victoria, which means our restrictions have eased just enough to have guests from regional Victoria visiting us. So if you're from regional, you're allowed to come back and visit us, and we would love to have you, but you do need to book your tickets online because we are very, very strict capacity, which means we sell out very, very quickly. So if you're wanting to come in, definitely book. If you're from Metro Melbourne, I'm sorry. I'm also from Metro Melbourne. I've only got a few things I'm allowed to do here at work right now in my current restrictions. I'm not allowed to interact with guests or talk to you guys in person. I get this beautiful experience of chatting to you through the computer, which is still weird no matter how many times I do it. But we are looking forward to seeing you as soon as it is safe to do so. All right, are they gonna come out this time? All right, while these penguins are slowly figuring out if they want to cross or if they're a little bit spooked, every time I say we, and I say that a lot, I mean Phillip Island Nature Parks, and that is who I work for and who the penguins work for. No, we are the ones that look after the penguins. So Phillip Island Nature Parks looks after about 20% of Phillip Island. So we have our beautiful penguins, of course. Oh, a few of them are running back. Oh. So this is what happens with this first group. You get a few who are a little bit unsure. We look after the penguins, of course. We also look after the seal colony off the Nobbies, the Koala Conservation Centre, Churchill Island, and we've got, bandicoots and a lot of other really beautiful wildlife on this island that we look after thanks to people like you guys wanting to watch them. Because who can resist penguins? They are just gorgeous. Whoa, there's people there. I've got to learn how to use the cameras and avoid people. That's a new skill I'll have to work on tonight. All right, these penguins will slowly come around behind these bushes and up to these rocks here. So I might just come up here. And so we're visitor funded here at Phillip Island Nature Parks, which means that to be able to do our everyday conservation work, our research work and education, that comes from the profits that we get from ticket sales, from souvenirs, from food and beverages, any of those profits when you come and visit us in person, or any donations that you make. Where are these penguins? Just keep talking while we look at grass. That's no fun. So if anyone is unable, fine, we'll look at these penguins. I don't know where the other ones have gone, but they've decided to ignore me. So if you guys are keen to help us out with some of our research and conservation work, but can't come visit us, and you have the capacity to leave us a donation or adopt a penguin or a bandicoot or a seal, please do so. The link is in the description. Of course, no pressure there for that one. We're not going to hassle you for money. That's not right. But we do appreciate it because every little bit does help us look after our beautiful penguins who are really taking their time tonight. All right, that raft is getting bigger. Rachel, how have we had any good guesses for last night's penguins?
We do have a really close one.
Oh.
Yeah, it's really good from Michelle Sharif. She guessed 1,253.
Okay, and how many did we have?
Yeah, we had 1,281.
Oh, so about 50 off-ish. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes, really good.
Really good.
guess.
Good job. That's great. So really getting into the start of our breeding season, which is great if we can keep those numbers over 1,000. So let us know how many you think we'll have tonight. And you know, you get your virtual chocolate bar and you get to feel better than all your friends who didn't guess as good as you did either. These penguins are really not too sure about it tonight. They're a little bit hesitant tonight. That's all right. It is still a little bit earlier than last night. So another thing I wanted to talk about today is it is the Victoria's Nature Festival this week. Well, longer than a week. It goes from today, the 11th of September, all the way to the 26th of September. And basically what we're doing is, it's obviously very virtual this year, is we've got a lot of natural events and trying just to encourage people to explore the wild things around Victoria. And so we're obviously taking part with our penguins. If you go onto our Facebook page, you can see a virtual wander around our south coast with Ranger Graham, which is really cool. We've also got a special live stream on Tuesday happening to celebrate the Nature Festival. And if you go on to together.vic.gov.au, which lovely Rach is putting in the comments for you right now, you can see more events all throughout Victoria to celebrate the Nature Festival, which is really fun. And I'll definitely be having a look through and seeing if there's anything appropriate for a 3-year-old for me to do at home with my little toddler tonight. Well, maybe not tonight. He will hopefully be in bed. If you're watching this, David, he better be asleep when I get home. Oh, bird. That's all right. I don't think that's a predator. Before we clocked and opened the live stream tonight, I had a bit of a look on the beach and there was a sooty oyster catcher. And they are this beautiful bird. They've got this, they're sort of a medium-sized bird for the beach, I guess. And they're this big black shiny bird, but they've got this bright orange beak that's really long for its body, as well as big orange rings around their eyes. They're absolutely beautiful, and they just go through the sand eating lots of different crustaceans and stuff all day. And we get 2 or 3 of them hang out on this beach fairly regularly, so I think that was just them going, oh, actually I need to go to bed for tonight. Not a predator for the penguins, but will definitely spook them, as any bird flying around will spook our penguins. Oh, hello. You're here going, come on guys. It is well past time to come home. It is dark. Get up here so I can say hello. Okay, so have we had any questions yet, Rachel?
We've got a few and
Ooh,
a few lovely jokes as well.
Oh, yes.
So we'll probably just go through the little jokes first. Like Penny Boberman loves the "Let's Hack Off" from Megan and Jordan.
Yeah, the
And
hack
that's
off,
really
that was
lovely.
Yeah.
and some of them actually remembered the poop that Jordan and Megan had when they were doing surveys in the
So
penguin
much
colony.
poo. So much
they're
poo.
waiting for some pictures proof.
Okay. I will let Megan and Jordan know you want pictures of poo for them. I'm sure they will not find that an odd request at all. But I assure you it is a weird request. Send us photos of poo. Don't. Okay. Any other funny Megan stories?
Yeah, there's a few. Maybe we should have Megan read them all when she get home later.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good. I really want to I keep thinking of funny Megan stories, but most of mine are from trying to think of the live stream, just her going completely speechless when we had this cat appear, and I'm here like really quickly trying to radio the gate rangers to let them know the cat's been sighted again, while Megan's like, what do I say about a cat without being a little bit too full on? And please don't hurt a penguin on the live stream, because I don't know what I'll do. And I thought the penguins were going to be on this part of the highway by now, but they're taking their time. But as we're talking about poo, look at all the poo on this highway. So We all love a poo fact. We love it, and I know it's been told 1,000 times, but penguins have got the highest velocity poo of every animal. And I need to confirm, but I don't know if it's penguins in general or are penguins specifically. All right, if they're not going to come around this corner yet, I'm going to go back up and find them. But the second I do that, they're going to... Here they come. Are they coming? I'm act like you guys can tell me and you can answer me exactly what's going on. All right, I think they're going to go... They must mostly be going up the hill. So let's go watch them on the hill while I wait for them to come join me on the highway. There they are. You tricked me, you cheeky penguins. They're all going... Oh, no, there they are. There they are. I knew the second I turned away, they'd be like, heh, here I am. They love to mess with me, these penguins. And look at them. Look at all of them. Did we get a number for this raft, Rach?
No, I haven't.
No? Oh, poor Elizabeth must be furiously counting very quickly and have forgotten about us. But that's all right. We'll just have to use our imaginations. And that's okay. Oh, penguins. They're so silly, these little guys. All right, let's go to penguin. Oh, where are you going? So, penguins go to the same home every single time they go home. They always go to the same burrow, unless they get a divorce, because then they've got to change burrow with their new partner, but that's okay. There's always exceptions. But otherwise, they're going to the same one. And so sometimes they look lost. They like stand around and they're like looking around, but they're not lost. They're trying to find their landmarks. And penguins have excellent eyesight to be able to find their landmarks because they've got, they've got this highway coming past here, so they know that this is the main road, and then they turn left here or turn right there as they get home. But being in a natural area, their landmarks are going to be changing slightly. So, through summer versus winter, it's going to be more green or less green. We're going to have things change or get knocked around in the wind. The plants are growing and dying off. So sometimes it takes them a little bit of time to find, to find their landmarks. So they look very lost and very silly while they're doing that, but I promise they know where they're going. Oh, that camera's got a splodge on it, which didn't look like it was there earlier. Oh, that's all right. Who minds? No one minds a little splodge. I do mind all the bugs though getting in my way. All right, I have a very Australian spider story. Do we want a spider story? Because I thought that was interesting while we're talking about bugs. I was taking my bins out the other night, the usual thing, and I see this little hole in the ground, and I was a little bit concerned. I'm like, that looks a lot like a spider hole. And it was, of course it was a spider hole. And so I'm not the most spider friendly person. They freak me out a little bit if I'm not in control. When I'm in control, they are totally fine. So I sort of sat out there at a safe distance with my camera trying to see if I could figure out what kind of spider it was, because it looks like it could be one of two spiders, whether one being a more venomous one and one being an almost harmless one. So I was very, very unsure, but I weirded out a couple of my friends I got a photo of a spider in a hole with its big black eyes staring back at us, and it looked really cute for a big black spider, which was kind of terrifying looking. So that caught me by surprise, but I spoke to the spider experts and it was harmless, but I just thought it was very Australian to have this big fat black spider, which is probably only this big, but it's still huge to fit in a tiny hole. I'm just sitting under my bins, so now I cannot take my bins out after dark because I do not want him to come out and scare me. Can only touch my bins at daytime. It's the same as, I don't know about you, but I refuse to check my mail after dark because of the risk of huntsmen's in my letterbox. So here at Phillip Island Nature Parks, we are great with all animals, but some of us still have the classic trouble with spiders. Not snakes though. Snakes are good for me anyway. I like snakes. What about you, Rach? Do you like snakes or spiders?
No.
No, not a fan.
Lizards are good.
Lizards are good?
Yeah.
It's like, I remember talking to Ranger Stephen one time and he's like, I don't like snakes or spiders, but bears are fine because he, lived in Canada and he's well aware of how to deal with bears. And for me, if I know where the spider or snake is, it's fine. It's when they catch me by surprise, it's a bit of a problem. Now look at all these penguins preening. Did we have more questions? I just went on a total spider rant, but that's okay. No more rafts yet. Okay, that's all right. Rach, any questions?
Yeah, sorry. We have Sarah, 5-year-old,
Oh, hi, Sarah.
asking, what do penguins eat?
Very good question, Sarah. So the penguins coming home today, they've been out there for somewhere from, maybe 1 or 2 days to 3 or 4 days, probably. Some maybe a little bit longer. And every day throughout the day, they've been fishing. So they eat any fish that'll fit in their mouth at about 10 centimeters long. So they especially love anchovies and pilchards, but they'll eat any small fish, any baby fish around that size, as well as they will eat squid sometimes when it's around, and jellyfish as well. So they're pretty not fussy as long as it's sort of fishy for them. So they're pretty good like that. And what I think is really cool is they dive so many times a day. So they can dive anywhere up to an average sort of 800 to 1,000 times a day, but up to 1,500 times a day. So they're literally just all day, every day diving up and down, up and down. And they dive down, and then on the way up, they're just like chomping on all the fish that they can possibly get until they've got enough fish to come home, basically. As we go into the breeding season right now, I haven't seen if we've had any official breeding season updates just yet, but I'm sure we've got to be having quite a few eggs around. We've seen a lot of shell gritters in the last couple of weeks. Where is my second group of penguins? What are they doing? They're really just not playing nice to me today. And it's raining. So we must have lots of eggs throughout the colony, I'm sure of it. But when we figure out for sure, we'll obviously let you know what our research team officially says. But we've had lots of shell gritter and breeding behaviour. So a shell gritter is when a female penguin runs back to the beach from her burrow to eat little tiny bits of shell, so crushed up shell pieces, because they're full of calcium. And so she is usually a couple of days, maybe 5 days away from laying her egg. And she has given the calcium from her own body to her eggs to form that nice hard shell. And so she needs to replace her calcium stores. So that's generally a really good sign that breeding season starting is when we're getting loads of penguins walking the wrong way along the highway, which we've definitely seen lots of. So I anticipate there should be lots of eggs, right? Basic understanding.
Yeah.
Shell gritters equal eggs. All right. And so what that should mean is in the next couple of weeks. So generally when a penguin turns about, not a couple of weeks, the eggs have to hatch first. Bad math, Vivian. So it takes them about 35 days for this egg to hatch. And, highway, come on. Takes about 35 days for the eggs to hatch. And then it'll take them another 3 weeks from that until the chicks are big enough to start showing off and coming out of their burrows. So that's when I'd expect that we would start to see penguins on the live stream, little chicks on the live stream, especially if no one inhabits our burrow yet. So I check the burrow every single time before I start here to see if there's anyone home, and there's still no one home. We're not sure what's happened there, if they found a better home or if something happened. We just don't know right now, but hopefully someone will move in and we'll start to get some penguin action in that burrow, because it's a lot of fun being able to see what's happening inside. Anyone who isn't familiar with our burrow, I'm going to quickly chuck the empty burrow on our screen right there, who's going to completely block the way off. So it's literally a camera going live to inside of a burrow, which when there's stuff happening is really, really cool, but there's not now, so I'm going to remove it. But you can find that by just Googling live burrow cam penguins, live penguin burrow Phillip Island, and that'll come straight to us and our burrows. Now let's head over back to the beach and look at the penguins who are coming. There we go. That's what I wanted. That's good. All right, I'm gonna just pop that over there. Okay, see, this is better. That's why it took so long, because they were waiting to have a big group. Now, between the rain and it is dark now, it's properly dark, it's very hard for the camera to focus, but put in your guesses for how many you think are here. And hopefully Elizabeth will radio to us, or maybe I'll even get Rach to ask Elizabeth to tell us for this group, because this is a good size group. This will really test your knowledge. See how many you think are there, and just remembering Elizabeth is a lot further away counting these penguins. Lucky for her, it is a sort of a lower tide, not a really high tide, but we've got penguins who are like, ooh, there's so many of you, I'm going to come with you. I'm way less likely to be eaten if I'm with a giant group of penguins. All right. While we're watching these guys cross, we have more questions, Rach?
We do. We have Jenny Crawley is asking. It's a very interesting question.
Ooh, okay.
Her daughter lives in Warrnambool, and they have marina dogs
Yep.
looking after penguins.
Yep.
And they're wondering if it will be ever be here on Phillip Island with dogs watching over our penguins.
Yeah, so I've got a friend who volunteers with the Warrnambool Penguin Colony and with the Marama sheepdogs over there. And the biggest difference between them and us is they still have foxes. So the sheepdogs are used in areas with foxes to protect the wildlife from those foxes. So they've been trained specifically to sniff out and keep the foxes away. So because here on Phillip Island we have been lucky enough to be able to remove foxes, we don't need the sheepdogs. But if the foxes were ever to return somehow, I think that's something we would look and take really seriously looking into. But we work really hard at keeping our island fox free. So we've got a camera over our bridge, so we can spot any foxes. No one here, like no locals, especially the farmers, want any foxes here either. So if there is a sighting, they talk to us and then we can have our pest control crew go out. We've got a fox sniffing dog and they can tell us whether it's an actual sighting or perhaps sometimes big cat or a possum even. If out of the corner of your eye can look a bit foxy. So more often than not it's a false alarm, but we always check it out and take it seriously because it's really important that we don't get foxes back here. But I mean, we don't use the Maramas, but the Marama sheepdogs are also used in other areas for our bandicoots. So I'm going to take a little bit of that's a shell gritter in the corner there, heading backwards, get little bits of shell, which is great. We work with Zoos Vic for our bandicoots, with the Eastern Barred bandicoots that we are lucky enough to have, and I hope will appear. Sometimes the bandicoots like me, and as soon as I mention bandicoots, they appear on the stream, or not on the stream, in person. This happens more often. So maybe if I say bandicoot enough, they'll appear for me. But because we've been so successful with our lack of foxes at breeding and having a wild colony is the wrong word, a wild population of bandicoots, we will often have some individuals taken from us here and some individuals taken from the breeding program at Zoos Victoria and released elsewhere. So there have been releases in other places on West Victoria that have been put into a place where they're going to be protected by the Marama sheepdogs. I don't know a lot about how that's going specifically, just because I know much more about what's happening here. But we've done it twice at least, moved them into a location with the sheepdog. So I imagine it's got to be doing pretty good for us to do it again. And the bandicoots did not decide to listen to me and come out, but fine. It's seriously, every time I'm on a tour and walking, going, it'd be nice if we saw a bandicoot. Next minute there's always a bandicoot, but I guess we can only be so lucky here. But I'm going to keep this camera here because this is usually where the bandicoots appear while I wait for the penguins to hop along on the highway for us, because I want a bandicoot. Alright, let's go back over to the highway so we can look at their little faces. So it's always nice because the highway is the only way for us to really be able to tell the difference between a male and a female penguin, because we're sort of at penguin-ish level. So you can tell a male penguin from a female penguin, but you have to be quite close. What are you doing? You're just having a little bit of a sit there. But you have to be quite close to them, so it can be really hard to tell. It's because of their beak. So a male penguin's beak is fatter and got a bit of a hook on the end compared to the female penguin's beaks. And I've just been given the 5-minute warning, just so you know. So this penguin, showing off at the bottom, here's a boy. He's got big fat beak. You're gonna show me, or if a second I have a look, you're gonna be like, no. So you can see that big fat beak happening, and I think the chances of me getting another good view of a different penguin are pretty slim. So I'm not even, oh no, that was mean. Just ran into him and it's just like, get out of my way, I'm heading home. And we've got this shell gritter who's heading down the highway, getting some little bits of shell, getting ready to lay some eggs, which is just beautiful. All right. Oh, you cannot get sick of penguins and their wattles. See, you can look at her. She's looking down here. See her looking at the ground going, was that a little bit of shell? Oh no, that was just more penguin poo. That's useless. I don't want to eat penguin poo. That's not very high in calcium. I don't think. Imagine if penguin poo is high in calcium. I'll have Megan and Jordan yelling at me later on, going, Vivian, you've just lied to everyone. That'd be upsetting. All right, let's head back on over and see if we've got any more rafts getting ready to come on through. Not really rats, but we'll head on over here and have a look. Haven't really seen any breeding behaviour or much besides shell gritters, and this one right in the middle here looks like another shell gritter. I don't know why, but every time I've done this, the shell gritters are like, I'm going to walk through the middle of the penguins coming home instead of, going around, because there's a lot of place to go around, but they're like, no, this is where I want to go. This is where the best pieces of shell is, isn't it? And look, we've got all of them preening, and then we've got this all a bit too close for it to focus properly on it tonight. All right, Rachel, do you have any funny stories about Megan? How much do we want to embarrass her?
No, I haven't. I couldn't think of any. All these funny stories are from when we're doing the live stream.
Yes.
It's really, really cool. But we've got a few watchers noticing a penguin limping on the beach before.
Okay.
A few minutes ago. But don't worry, Megan's is on the boardwalk tonight. And if we see the limping penguin again, we'll bring them into the hospital.
Absolutely. So we have a wildlife hospital on site. And that is open 24 hours to our wildlife. And limping penguins are more common than you'd think. I don't know if we'll see them around here. People's heads move. I don't know if we'll see them, but we have got a couple of regular limpy penguins. So I'm not too concerned as long as they're fat. So I will just go ahead and say I'm not wildlife first aid trained, but I've got a lot of personal knowledge as well. But basically, if a penguin is fat and is moving and especially if that penguin has made its way, wrong button, has made its way out of the water, it's probably not a really bad limp. So we've got one regular especially that every time the wildlife first aiders pick it up and give them a scan, they're like, oh, it's just this penguin, because we think at some point it may have broken its leg and then it healed a bit funky, but because they're not using the leg to swim, so their legs stay sort of flat behind them, and they might use it to steer a little bit, but they're not really using their legs to swim. It's not an issue in the water, so it's only an issue on land. And because they're here at night, if they can walk on it, they're fine. And sometimes, they already waddle, so a little bit of a limp isn't too much of a huge issue. But I do want to say, for anyone who sees a limping penguin on the live stream, don't worry too much. It is way more common than you think. In the breeding season, we'll often see a couple of limpy penguins every night. And generally, we're not going to pick them up unless there's something bad happening. So like if we see them tangled in rubbish, or if we see them really skinny or underweight, or if we see them with like obvious blood or open wounds or anything like that, then we'll obviously take them in. But we'll always have a ranger who's trained to come check them out for us to make sure that they absolutely are okay. But just to reassure you here as well, we're always watching our penguins, and limpy penguins are not as big of an issue as you might think they are.
Last question?
Last question?
Perfect. We've got Jazzaret asking, do all egg-bearing females shell grit, or is it only when they experience a calcium or mineral deficit?
Great question. From what I know, and this is an educated guess, I love my educated guesses, it would be the vast majority of females. You might get some who don't, but they all have a very similar diet, and so they're all going to be getting, I imagine they're all going to have similar levels of calcium when they don't have, when they're not laying eggs, which means they're going to lose a similar amount of calcium to the eggs, and therefore they're going to need to get a similar amount of calcium back into their bodies. But I will try to follow that one up with someone else who might know better, but I'm going to think, the vast majority will, but there's always exceptions to every rule. Yeah, does that make sense, Rach?
Yeah, sounds really good. And
Good.
Here we only see pregnant penguin shell grits, but like I said, we might not.
That's right. We think of it as a bit like a pregnancy urge, like your cravings that we get. But it's a really tricky one, because you'll find the little, what's that? Is that a patch of grass or a bandicoot? If that's a patch of grass, I'm going to be sad, and it's a patch of grass. Well, that's embarrassing. Whoops. Oh, and I'm on the wrong camera. Oh my gosh, guys, I'm sorry. I am not paying enough attention. I thought I was on this camera. All right, that's okay. We'll head on over to these guys now. It's so easy. We've got two screens in front of us, so we've got to make sure that we're paying enough attention and clicking this one, then clicking that one, then this one and that one, and it's just all over the place. All right, my funniest Megan memory probably doesn't even have as much to do with Megan as it does her dog. So through the big lockdown last year, I spent most of it on Facebook answering all of the questions and replying to all of your comments and doing the best I could there. And very often I would have Oberon, little Obi, this very clever doggy, asking all these very silly questions on a regular basis. And I remember one night he's like, how many apples tall is a penguin? And I was sitting at home and I asked my partner, I'm like, what a silly question. Like, what is he doing knowing full well that it's, it's a dog? And then my partner, he goes and Googles it, and it was something like 3.5 apples tall is a penguin or something ridiculous. He's like, okay, I can do this. How big is an average apple, and how many of those is a penguin? I'm like, all right. So it's kind of Megan adjacent story. Sorry, Megan.
Obsidian's on now.
Sorry?
Oberon, Obsidian's on now.
Oh, Obi's on. He heard his name. Obi, I swear I didn't say anything mean. Still, yes, poor Megan is always very embarrassed when Obi's on here being silly, but we all love him and enjoy the silliness, so it's okay, Megan. All right, I know Rachel's like, we've hit our 5 minutes. We have got to finish up. One more question.
One more question.
Or what's Obi saying? Is he being silly or is he being good today?
No, he's been a good boy.
He's been a good boy, good dog.
It's just a reminder it's Megan's birthday, and he makes sure everyone knows it.
Yes, so Obi's a good boy. I hope you're looking after Megan tonight. I'm going to take very good care of her and give her all the best cuddles for her birthday. Okay, question.
We've got, Mitchell asking how good is a penguin's sense of smell.
How good is penguin's sense of smell? Penguin's sense of smell is excellent. So they... I'm going to have to, really test my memory here. There we go. I believe a couple of years ago that they figured out penguins know where to fish for food based on fish farts. So in a big group of fish swimming together in their shoal or their school, can never remember the right word for it, is they fart a lot because, animals and people are disgusting and we fart. And that they were able to smell that to find their fish. So I need to check up on that as well, because I'm pretty sure that was correct. But then we've also had a different thing where we've found out that penguins don't use their sense of smell to find their burrow. So I don't know if it's a really great sense of smell, but they only use it in certain situations, or a terrible sense of smell, and this fish fart story is to do with some completely different animal, and I'm just making things completely up. So not the best answer, but that's what I've got right now. I'm going to double check the fish fart story and find out if it's penguins. Do you know offhand, or are you looking at me like, what are you talking about?
No, I just got this information from you. I like it.
Rachel's like, that's really cool, and it could... That's all right. I'll have a look. I'll be back sometime, I'm sure. I think I'm back on Monday. I don't know if I'm doing your job or my job, but I'll look into fish farts and come back to you about what the deal with fish farts are. But we might go have a look at some penguin bottoms and do our signature hug off as we say goodbye for tonight. Come on in, Rach, and say goodbye to our guest, and we'll see you again on Monday. Bye.